Some towns are abandoned because the people left. Others are abandoned because the dead stayed. Wow. Just let that sit with you for a second. We usually think of ruins as these empty, quiet places, right? Nature taking over, time completely forgetting them. But what if a place wasn't abandoned by its people? What if it was trapped by them? Imagine the echoes of a town's absolute darkest day being so loud, so incredibly traumatic, the time just snapped, literally frozen in this atmospheric dread forever. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, I'm going to be your guide, maybe a slightly spooky tour guide, as we pull back the veil on a terrifying eternal nightmare. We're diving deep into the visual evidence and dark lore of a place known only as the Gallows of the Gothic Square. Stick close to me, and whatever you do, don't wander off the path. Act 1, the perimeter. All right, picture this. You're walking with me, leaving the modern world completely behind, and stepping toward the outskirts of this forgotten village. You can almost feel that damp chill hanging in the air, can't you? It's like we've walked into an eternal autumn. Just look at those glowing jack-o'-lanterns sitting on the crooked gravestones, and that warm, kind of sinister light spilling out from the warped wooden houses. The crazy part? The leaves are literally frozen in midair. There is zero wind here, no tomorrow. Time has just stopped cold, trapping the perimeter in this eerie, unending twilight. And you've got to notice the total, inescapable isolation here. On one hand, you have these ruined, waterlogged cabins sinking into the decaying marshland. And on the other, our path is being watched by these massive, silent crows just perched above desolate, fog-choked pathways. This perimeter, it's not just a boundary. It's a quarantine zone. It's meant to keep the outside world out. And honestly, it's meant to keep whatever is inside strictly in. The fog hides what the trees know. I mean, wow, take a second to let that sink in. The stillness out here, it isn't peaceful at all. It feels like a breath being held. Act 2, descent into the square. So we're leaving the edge of those woods behind and moving deeper into the suffocating heart of these cobblestone streets. See the glistening, rain-slick stones beneath our feet? Those quaint little wooden houses from the perimeter are gone, replaced by this oppressive, towering Gothic architecture. The spires are literally piercing the dark, swirling sky like jagged teeth, and the street lamps, they cast this sickly, yellow glow. No warmth at all. They just illuminate this twisting path that pulls us, inevitably, toward the town center. You can practically smell the wet stone and decay. And here we are, the dark, medieval market square. Look closely at those hooded figures gathered in the dim light. They aren't speaking, they aren't moving on. They're locked in this twisted, eternal commerce right under those glowing windows. It's like they're pantomiming everyday life, trading, whispering, waiting. But there's no actual life left in them. They're just trapped in a loop, waiting for the bell to toll. Now, to really get what's going on, we have to look at the mechanics of this nightmare. The town repeats this terrifying loop every single night, like clockwork. Check this out. At dusk, the fog rolls in, completely sealing off the perimeter. At midnight, the ghost market opens up and the townsfolk take their places. And then at 3 a.m., the gallows creak. It's this endless cycle of anticipation and execution that never, ever resolves. Act 3, the climax of justice. The executions never stopped. Every single night. Forever. We've finally reached the exact center of the town. This is where the true dark purpose of the curse is laid bare. Look at this harrowing evidence. The rain is just pouring down, soaking the wooden platform of the gallows. And there it is, a hanging corpse swaying violently in the storm, a permanent fixture against those Gothic spires. You got a flock of ravens circling endlessly overhead. This isn't just a haunting, guys. It's a monument to brutality. This town didn't die from a plague or a famine. No, it died from its own twisted sense of justice. Let's put these two realities side by side to really grasp this. We started on the left, right? In the eerie but fairly quiet pumpkin-lit outskirts. It felt kind of like a dark fairy tale. But contrast that with what we see on the right, the brutal, visceral, rain-soaked reality of the execution square. This contrast perfectly maps the escalating danger. The deeper you venture into the town's history, the more violent and totally unforgiving the haunting becomes. What we're actually witnessing here is a concept folklorists call eternal justice. It's a very specific kind of curse where the condemned, the executioners, and even the witnesses are forced to relive a brutal verdict forever. The townsfolk weren't just cursed because they hung a man. Actually, scratch that. It's more like they were cursed for the absolute lack of mercy in their hearts. The punishment fits the crime to a T. They wanted an execution, so the universe gave them one that never ends.
Act 4. The Warning.
Okay, I need to shift gears for a minute. Exploring all this lore is super fascinating, but if you ever actually find yourself on a foggy road at dusk, I need you to know how to survive. Take a look at that figure waiting on the dark road under the flickering street lamp. This town doesn't just sit passively in its little time loop. It actively hunts. Remember that perimeter we talked about earlier? It acts like a giant spiderweb. Whenever the living wander too close, the inhabitants of the Gothic Square reach out, desperately trying to pull new witnesses into their eternal crowd. So if you are ever trapped on those cursed cobblestones, you absolutely must follow these rigid instructions. Step 1. Do not look at the hanging man. Meeting his gaze makes you a witness, and that ties you directly to the curse. Step 2. Never speak to the merchants in the square. Engaging in their little ghost economy, that literally signs your soul away. And Step 3. Turn back before the rain starts. The rain is the signal for 3 a.m. If you feel even a single drop of water, it is already too late. And hey, you don't have to just take my word for it. Just look at the physical evidence left behind by past travelers. We're talking blood-stained signs hastily thrown up at the edge of the city limits, literally screaming, "Leave before dark." The people who painted these, they barely escaped with their lives. They left these desperate warnings begging future wanderers to take the danger seriously. The town is marked. The threat is absolutely verified. I want to leave you all with this final thought. We all like to think we're rational, right? We like to think we'd turn back the second we see the warning signs. But human curiosity, man, it is a dangerous thing. If you were standing right on the edge of that square, if you smelled the damp cobblestones, saw those glowing windows, and heard the slow, agonizing creak of the ropes swinging in the cold rain, would you really be able to turn away? Or would you step forward into the dark just to see? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Stay curious, but above all, stay safe.